method. Does everybody have a pen, something to write on? We're gonna watch an icebreaker, and this is a typical icebreaker. So this isn't gonna be a great speaker. Don't be mean to her, joking. I don't know who this person is. It's found on YouTube. But we're gonna watch her speech. I want you to jot down what you see. And then we're gonna have some people who are brave enough to come up and actually do an evaluation. And we're gonna see how well you do. So there are no rights or wrongs. I'm gonna
So
talk
we're gonna evaluate the evaluator.
Yes, well, this is icebreaker. We're going to evaluate the icebreaker, and then we are going to evaluate the person who evaluates the icebreaker. Is that what you mean? Yeah, so evaluate the evaluator. So we need to, and this actually is practice for the contest. Let's see how good we are. I'll turn the light up on
community and was not reticent at all.
Can we start it over? Oh, no, that's not the speaker. This is
Oh,
the
that's okay.
Don't call me shy. Help me welcome Brittany Wood.
Good evening, Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Brittany Woods, and I am now resident teenager of this club. I'm 18 years old and recently graduated from high school. Even though I'm young of age, I often don't feel that way. Sometimes people mistake me for being older than I am, so sometimes I just play along with it anyways. I may act mature for my age because I have two older brothers, Andrew and Sean. They are 8 and 11 years older than me, but despite the large age gap, we are very close. Growing up, my oldest brother Andrew is my role model. He had many friends, was very smart, and very funny. He brought out the best in me, and I feel like I was cool by inviting me to hang out with his friends. One thing about Andrew, though, is the fact that he absolutely loved to take advantage of how cool a boy was. In fact, one time, he even convinced me that he was hiding inside the toilet. Another time, he convinced me that his friend had 3 legs. But despite this, he and I had a lot of fun together. One of our favorite things to do were Tigger rides, which are similar to piggyback rides. He'd race around the house and be on his back, only to take us to a mirror and cautiously peer into it. When he saw his reflection, he pretended to think it was another Tigger. The expression changed to horror as he yelled and ran around the house, throwing out into a couch, laughing on to over and over. My other brother Sean and I shared a lot of interests. We often played a lot of games together. At one point when I was little, one of my favorite things to do was have my brother run around the house and drag me on a blanket when I said, "Wee!" So I started singing the way the dress so. We also sang a lot of Disney songs together and made forts out of pillows for Mr. Potato Heads when they're under attack by the evil human eating stuffed animals. Outside my whole life and in school, I've always been an overachiever. In fact, I had so many tassels, cords, and sashes from all of the service clubs I joined in high school, I could barely see my gown at graduation. I was an active member in over 6 school clubs and the captain and varsity team player of the tennis team, which I played on for 4 years. I was also the global project director for one club called STAGE, which stands for Students for the Advancement of Global Entrepreneurship. This is a special plus to me because it allowed me to propose and see through a project to bring clean water to over 100,000 Haitians. It also gave me the opportunity to work for an electricity and water conservation company now known as Watson. Through this internship, I get to help people see where their water usage is coming from and how they can reduce their usage. Both of these opportunities really opened my eyes to the fact that I don't have to wait for the biggest future to start making a difference. I get started now. And lastly, I'm someone who is always striving to improve myself. I was often labeled as the shy or quiet one in school, and this hurt me very much. Others didn't understand how painful it was to be called shy or to have jokes made about my quietness over and over again. I felt like I wasn't good enough and there was something wrong with me. In 6th grade, for instance, I was bullied. At this age, I desperately wanted to fit in and please others, so I let people walk over me like a doormat. My friends, who I carpooled every day with that year, turned on me, began to target me and make fun of me for not being cool enough, for not knowing the popular music, and for not having the most fashionable clothes. But most of all, they hated me for being shy. They tried to get me to scream in the quad one day when they were wondering if I ever got loud. They threw their lunches at me one time because they knew I wouldn't do anything back. They pranked on me to the point where I begged my dad to stop answering the phone, and they tried to exclude and embarrass me each and every day. They even started a whole online forum about me with anonymous screenings, but I knew it was them. One girl said, "I carpool with her every day, and I'm sorry, but she's a loser." And another said that I was so quiet that she wanted to squish me like a bug. And another said she would hate me. Since middle school, I've become a much more confident person and will never let anyone treat me that way again. I've confirmed my so-called shyness this year in a 1-year project, and I've been blogging about it since New Year's Day 2011. I called it the Shyness Project, and I've been doing everything I could believe I can't do because of this label. So I'm pretty much capable of anything I set my mind to, even the scariest of tasks like public speaking. And that's why I'm here at Toastmasters. I want to be able to write a book and go on an interview and speak about my book. I want to be able to teach English abroad and have the confidence to stand in front of the room and lecture. I want to have more tools to share my ideas and my experiences. So thank you for allowing my dad and me to join your club. Thank you all for being so friendly and welcoming. Brought in baked goods to show my appreciation. Mr. Toastmaster.
So I'm gonna give you a few moments because I know the light is off to finish up your notes. But that is what we typically see as an icebreaker. They stand in one spot, they have their handouts, I mean not their handouts, but their notes, and they speak. And she was only 18. So I'm giving you a few things before you come up. Is there anybody who feels like they want to evaluate this shy 18-year-old new Toastmaster? Y'all are Toastmasters, don't play. I'm looking at you. Down. Chris smiling. I'm gonna get you, Chris. I know you're new. I see movement. What happened?
Oh, you got a minute?
I did.
Oh, come on, Jamar. Now don't try to. See, you trying to get somebody else. Come on, Jamar. Come on, Jamar. You trying to volunteer somebody else. Come on. There you
Yeah.
go. That's what happens when you try to get somebody else. I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna stand up right here because I'm stuck in this position right here.
Oh, no, you come on. You come on. Just say excuse me.
Oh,
Okay,
excuse me.
I'll come to the front. Okay.
They won't bite.
Standing in the front. Hello, everyone. So based on this speech that was given, she had a lot of great information to share, but I lost track in her speaking. She didn't open her mouth up like I thought she should have. You could barely hear what she was saying. I think that she needs to work on projecting more when she speaks and take the time to think about what she's talking about. She had a lot of information that she wanted to share, and I think she needed to condense the information that she was trying to get out. So I would suggest that she opens her mouth up more when she speaks, that she organizes her thoughts. That's something that one of my fellow Toastmasters shared with me today. She said that a lot of times when you give a speech, you should organize it, but you should pick out certain bullet points in your speaking and not try to memorize everything. And also, it's something that she shared with me about using notes. Sometimes when you use notes, it becomes a crutch. So I know this was her first time speaking, but what I would suggest is that she kind of moves away from having notes, because it looked like she was looking at her notes. Move away from that, condense her thoughts, and also to project. It's a time to when you're speaking. It's a time where you need to project. You need to raise your voice. It's a time where you can kind of ease in your transitions. So these are the things that I would suggest to her in her speaking. I think she did a great job for the first time, but she does need to improve. Thank you.
Now you on the coals. All right, Jamar did good. He was our very first person to good job, Jamar.
Thank you.
But what do we have for him? Did we think that he gave this girl an effective but positive evaluation? And we love Jamar, but we're going to tell him the truth about it. Did he use
Tell him the
I
truth.
statements? Because we're all here to grow. What could Jamar have done better as her evaluator to be more of service to her? And you can just raise your hand, anybody. Lynn, there we go.
Any clue?
I believe that if you used, I observed her use her arms and her hands. And I observed the passion when she touched her chest. Those are just some. I observed that, well, I heard the organization of her speech. However, projecting your voice just a little higher and slowing down would have been a better. That's it.
Very
I got more, but
feedback.
I'm-
So she's gonna talk to you offline. I'm joking. Any other help that we can give Jamar on his evaluation? Okay.
So I wrote down some similar things, but I think when you're telling her to open her mouth, that's not exactly clear. Talking fast, actually, I don't have an issue with because people can keep up if you enunciate well. So if she would enunciate a little bit that would have clarified what opening your mouth means, I think.
Yes.
So speaking clearer.
Clearly, I agree with you.
Yeah, giving more definitive direction as to what that actually means, I think would be more beneficial. She might not really know what you mean when you're saying that. Should she be louder? Is that what you mean? Should she enunciate? Whatever you did mean, I would be clearer on it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other feedback for Jamar? JD?
I heard you say a lot of, I observed what you saw. However, what I did not hear is how she should correct it.
Okay.
And so, especially being her first time, I know that in Capital Speakers, one of the things that we use a lot was the sandwich method. Start off with something positive.
Yes.
By it being her first time, she's already maybe nervous, not sure how she feels in front of everyone else. So starting off with something positive makes her relax maybe a little more, and then you go into the critiquing. But I still believe that you end on a positive note, uplift, so that she maybe, even though you gave her some critique or space, opportunities of growth, still end on a positive note.
And with the glove method, you can still sandwich or Oreo, however you want to respond. But it's just remembering. It's to help you remember. So don't think you have to get rid of your sandwich. I love sandwich. The sandwich method. I like sandwiches, yes. But I the sandwich method. So Jamar, great job. Any other feedback for Jamar? All right, feel free to talk to people after the meeting, but thank you, Jamar. One other person to evaluate her. Okay, come on down. And I forgot that John in the back has the timing cards, so you get to see that. All right.
Is that 2 minutes?
It's 2 to 3.
Okay.
All right, go for it.
My name is Michael Miller, and I'm going to be evaluating speech. I saw that for her gestures, she matched them very well to her subject matter. So she would use them high when she was talking about something up top, and she had very good use of her body movements and gestures in that way. However, she could have used her walking back and forth as was suggested to transition her life as she was growing up and going through different stages and entering into her history. I think that would have been useful. And so I'd say for her suggestions for gestures, walking back and forth is something that I think is an improvement area. For language, she was very clear and there were no fillers. I did not catch any filler words or ums, ands, buts, and that was great use of her language in that way. However, I thought the movement of her sentences was too quick, and so she would run through a sentence and pause, but then jump to the next sentence. And I think a suggestion to help that is let the sentence stand on its own, be able to communicate and still pause, and let the sentence then be understood and communicated to your audience, and then move on. Organization. I thought she had a great intro with the youngest teen of her Toastmasters Club. I thought it was a fantastic, engaging intro. And her final conclusion and purpose was fantastic. The reason why she was there and what the message was for was very well done. I thought that body, though, could have transitioned clearer to her final purpose. And so I think for a suggestion there is have your build up to your conclusion during your body so that you can see where we're headed. Like, oh, we got here, we didn't just come up out of nowhere. I feel like that would have been helped her speech clarity for her organization. For her voice, she was very clear and you could understand her. However, I felt that there was more of a monotone theme to it, and so she could have used better tonal inflection and had her tones match her subject topic of the time. And so my suggestion there is that she uses better tonal inflection during her topic changes. And then for enthusiasm and emotion, she was very pleasant and well composed. So she was up there, she was not fidgeting or just shaking or putting together a disconcerting presentation style, and that was fantastic. I think something she can improve on is matching her emotions to what she's talking about. Specifically when she was talking about her hard times in college with her friends and a lot of the negative experiences she had in life, you could not tell the difference between how she was speaking about those and how she was speaking about the positive times. And so I say let the emotions rest on the subject so that the audience can engage like that. Thank you very much.
Okay, Michael, that was great. All right, do we have any feedback for Michael on how he just evaluated? Come on, Lynn, give it to him now, give it to him.
Michael,
Yes, ma'am.
when you discuss a sentence where she could have paused, it would have been helpful if you could have recited it and shared that with her as an example. This way, instead of just telling people what you suggest, you can show them. And that's how a lot of people learn as well.
Slowly starting it down.
Look, we're all here to grow. Anyone else have some feedback for Michael? I have feedback for Michael. Oh, sorry, go. No, go. Come on with it.
I thought I enjoyed and appreciated you going down the roster, looking at individual issues and addressing them. For me, her sentence was too wordy. She had too much information, and I don't know about anybody else, but that sort of lost me in trying to keep up and look at her. But for the most part, I would say I enjoyed you critiquing her based on the sheet and taking each method and addressing it. So.
Thank you. And for me, I want to, and this is for both Jamar and Michael. She's doing her icebreaker.
Right.
She's 18 years old. She's already said she's shy. On an icebreaker, I would say let's do a lot more positives. Because I know she has a lot of negatives, but you can write those down. Let's focus more on the positive and maybe give her 2, max 3 things to work on, because she has a lot more speeches to do. And if you tell her you were hitting, which is great, and they were in an attackful way, but if you tell her all those things, unless you've spoken to her already and she stated like give me everything, I want to grow, that might be overwhelming, and she might feel like she didn't do a great job, even if you finish with, and it was a great job, but I can't wait to do the next speech. So remember again, where are they? Focus, like I said, be real, but you could always write those things down and give it to her. But when you're talking about her in front of the club, and she's already said she's basically been bullied and she's shy, 2 of the biggest things, or maybe the easiest things that she can correct so she can see growth. Focus on those 2 things and give her specific things she can do. Because I got what you were saying, but I think that some people might not have understood the things you were saying, like let it rest. Like again, give them that specific example. Say this sentence, blah, 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 and then just give it a pause. Or when you do the gesture, pause or smile or something like that. So make sure if it's somebody brand new that we understand again where they are. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. Okay. If she was maybe a returning Toastmaster or somebody doing their icebreaker for a 2nd or 3rd time, of course. And we just got the glove method, so I'm not going to say anything about going down the list. But again, this is to remember so that we don't come up with the paper and read down the line. Okay, but thank you.
I just want one final comment. I just want to let you know that I wanted to come up here mostly for me rather than for the critique. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. So the next form I want you guys to look at is the International Speech Contest form. This is the actual ballot for this year that if you are doing the international contest, you will be judged on. If you look on the left, down that whole line, a lot of that is exactly what they look at in the glove method. Yeah, with props. Yeah. So this speech is a little shorter. It's not made to be an international speech. This is not a Toastmaster, but his type of speech is that emotional, motivational, transformational type speech that you tend to hear. So I want you to look at what he has for what it is, and then evaluate him as if he was doing an international speech. And let's see how our evaluations work. Again, don't be afraid to come up here. We're all growing. I've been told I'm a good evaluator, but I still go home and say, oh, I should have said this differently. Or I wonder if they understood what I meant. So don't be afraid to come up. We can't grow unless we do. But we're going to watch this next gentleman give a motivational, I like inspiration. He gave me the goosebumps type speech.
Now, if I go to a store and there's something for 90 cents, can I buy it with this dollar bill? Okay, all right. So, if I go to a store and there's something for 85 cents and after tax, it ends up being 96 cents, can I buy it with this dollar bill? Okay, all right. So what if I borrow the dollar bill up? Think about it now. Like, I just borrowed the dollar bill up. Like, so it can't be worth $1 now. It's probably worth like 95 cents, right? How much you think it's worth? $1. Listen, y'all gotta pay attention. I just balled it up. So clearly it's not worth $1 anymore. Alright, so maybe, what if I step on it? What if I stomp it? I just stomped it. How much is it worth now? Maybe 65 cents, 68 cents? It's still worth $1? Okay, what if I ball it up? What if I stomp on it and then I put it in the trash can? And it's in here with some trash, and it's around some beer and some gum and a bunch of other nasty stuff. And some guy off the street pulls the dollar out, unfolds it. How much is it worth now? Maybe 82 cents? And maybe, come on, at least 92 cents? Okay, all right, so what if I ball it up? What if I step on it? What if I put it in trash? And then, watch this, I tear it in half. Think about it now, right? How much is it worth now? $1? I can tape it? Whoa. Wait a second. I just balled it up. I just stepped on it. I put it in trash. I pulled it out. Then I tore it in half. And you mean to tell me I can pick the dollar up, I can wipe it off, and I can put some tape around it, and it's still worth $1? Then why, if this dollar doesn't lose its worth of its value, then why do you feel like you lost your worth of value? Because many of you feel like you've been stepped on, you feel like you've been pushed aside, you feel like you've been abandoned, you feel like you've been talked about, you feel like you've been abused, like someone took from you, someone hurt you, somebody took advantage of you, and deep down inside your core, you feel like you've lost some of your value. And I'm here to tell you today that this dollar still has worth and value, because there were some men years ago who put value over this life and said no matter what happens to it, it can still be taken back together, it can still be wiped off. And I need to tell you that you were created and you're born and you're here and you have life and you have purpose and you have value. And though you've gone through some hard times, and though you've experiencing some depression, and you might be wanting to hurt yourself and you might want to give up, I am here to tell you you still got worth and value. And there is nothing that can happen that can take your worth and your value away. So what you gotta do now, you gotta pick yourself up. You gotta dust yourself off, and you gotta keep on.
I was hurt when you ripped that dollar, I'm not gonna lie, but it was good. I was at first, I was like, where he going with this? But I forgot you can still spell rip the dollar as long as you take it. I was like, okay. All right. All right, so he was a pretty good speaker, right? We know he was. We were moved. He got that emotion part. Okay, he got that. But there are still some areas that we can critique. Look at the sheet for what it is. Not that you felt real good when he finished talking, but look at the sheet, because this is what happens in real contest. The judges are like, oh, that was so great. That almost made me cry. And then you're like, how did they win? Or how did they lose? You know, you're confused. Look at the sheet. What are they getting evaluated on? Take a moment and actually grade him for what you actually saw and heard. I'll give you a moment to do that.
Do we know his name? Lakeisha. Let my asthma settle. Lakeisha, thank you so much for sharing with us today. It's not easy, especially to give a speech with that much passion in front of people. You swept us away, engaging instantly by asking a question that we all knew the answer to, but still like to participate in. That grabbed me right from the start, almost because it was too easy of a question. Obviously, it's $1. That doesn't change. By the second time you asked, I knew where you were going with it. And I was almost distracted by waiting on the ending. I was just waiting on how is he going to give this punchline that that's our intrinsic value as a human. There was a little bit where you were swaying back and forth, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's going to be some stepping. But the way that, even with me anticipating it, that may have even been your point. You brought passion and life to this speech. And as we all kind of saw it coming, we all were reminded of our own value. And so at the end of the day, even though there was a little bit of a hint towards it, and even though there was a little bit of distraction with movement, that movement and that hint is what brought us all to the same conclusion together. And moving in the same direction at the same time unified us not only because of our intrinsic value, but because we came to this conclusion together. So thank you for sharing your thoughts. The time card, so I don't know. I'm sorry.
It
He's like
happens in
about 2
life.
minutes.
I was at 2 minutes?
Yeah, he's just about at 2 minutes.
Okay, so good. All right, and what's your name again?
Krista.
Krista. So what feedback can we give Krista on that evaluation of Mr. Lakeisha? Come on, man.
I mean, it's got to be fair.
Krista, you opened up with we. You don't know.
That's true.
It's always I.
That's true.
Also, and if you are looking to improve the speaker, what purpose was it for you to say, I already knew at the end of one, you was losing me? What could have been something to help him to be better
Suggestion. That's
instead
right.
of letting him know what your thoughts were?
Okay.
We're here to improve, right?
Suggestion.
That's it.
All right, and that was actually what I saw too, more suggestions. Anyone else? That would have been so nice tonight. I just didn't expect it. Well, let me think. Hold on, let's let you off.
I do.
Oh, come on, Major.
Okay, I was actually looking at the form and trying to verbalize. I am not, because it's late and tired. I'm not going to use the appropriate language, but I'm still going to be truthful.
Yeah.
I love the way you gave value to the speaker. You wanted the speaker to understand that we understood them.
Right.
But our goal is to evaluate the speech.
Right.
Our goal is to separate our emotion to some degree
Right.
and detach ourselves, not just from the message, but to evaluate the speech. Did you communicate what you needed to communicate to us? And did you do so in a manner that was effective from start to finish? You stated that I knew where you were going from the beginning. I don't necessarily think that's a negative thing to say. But then in stating that you understood that, was it like a revelation? Or were we supposed to gradually come to that point? Or were we supposed to, from that next step, have an epiphany in and of ourselves? What was the speaker's objective? And I think that's why speech development is first.
Yeah.
Because you have to write your speech and have the end in mind from the beginning.
Yeah.
Where do you want that person to end in the beginning, at the end of your speech? And
So
I love the way,
objective.
right.
Yes.
So you made the speaker, Mr. Lakeisha, feel like he communicated his message well. But in terms of the speech itself, I didn't feel like we really understood the caliber of what needed to be adjusted
Okay.
in terms of vocal variety. I did hear you say some things about movement. I'm gonna tell you honestly, I felt agitated listening to him. I really did. Every time he stomped and shook and did anybody else feel agitated? I was getting nervous, like, oh, what we gonna do here? Are we gonna fight? And that's what I felt in his speech. And I would have said, in terms of your movement, I enjoyed your passion. However, the degree of your movement was a distraction to the words that you were speaking. That type of thing. I wanted him to understand, that this is what I see about your passion. Your message is great. You motivate the masses. But your speech has got to be on point so that when they leave there, it wasn't I just felt good, but what did I teach them? What did they learn? What was the end objective? And did they get that?
Okay. That help you out? Yes. You feel okay? I want to make sure you got it. Okay. We clap till they get up here.
Miss Lakeisha, I enjoyed your passion. Your gestures were on point. You used the floor space well. Your voice was relative to being all passionate in the beginning and mostly through the body. And then at the end, you calmed it down so that we can know, or the audience can know, that the value that we have in our settle should be the same as in that dollar bill. So I thought that was excellent. I thought that your grammar at times wasn't on point, and I cannot recall because you were speaking kind of fast and I was taking notes. However, when you're using words and you want to convey something, use the correct grammar so that it flows better. But overall, I thought the speech was good. It was appropriate. It tied a message that everyone could relate to. And I look forward to hearing more of your speeches. All right.
Lynn is here. Who has feedback for Lynn on her evaluation? Go for it, grab your pen. Nobody? She just got like 3 of you. Nobody wants to
Okay.
take it.
Wait for him to be able to write it down.
I've heard you evaluate before, Lynn, and one of the things that I love that you do is that you pause and you speak to persons and not to just the group, even though everyone's listening. And another thing that you do that I think is great is that you make sure that you do give them suggestions. In this particular evaluation, because I think it was taking a little bit short because you had already said it. When you were over there, what you were going to say, so you didn't really say it up here. But when I think you have such a loving demeanor, I'm just saying, that sometimes the emotion has to be taken out and the clinical have to come out, you have to just speak truth to whoever. Because if this is your third icebreaker, okay, then at some point we have to get past the icebreaker and we have to be able to say, and you have to be able to stand and say to them. And that's the thing that I feel, even here with, I don't even know why to say Mr. now, Mr. Lakeisha, that you have to say to the speaker to say, you said, I thought your movements were great. Well, in being specific, to coin your own term, what was great about those movements?
Right. I like that. I liked all of that.
Then
I did.
that's what should have been said. I like that. I like what you were trying to communicate.
Yeah.
I would have said, I like what you were trying to communicate, but that, however, you scared me.
You didn't scare me.
That's me.
I got you.
And how I would have said that, because
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
I do.
So when you're saying, use your senses, you be descriptive. Use your senses, be descriptive.
Got you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I'm gonna give it to me. I need to grow. Yes, ma'am.
I think I would say the same thing as nature. I always say this, I love to hear you speak. The rate is perfect for me. If someone's speaking fast, I tend to black out because I can't understand what they're saying. Your rate is perfect. I love how you pause in between in your thoughts. so that the person can digest what it is that you're saying. Room for improvement. You've heard this many times before. Your voice.
Say it ain't so.
Your voice is so soft, and if someone is in the back of the room, they would definitely have a difficult time hearing you as far as the vocal variety, but for the most part, you still have that same soft voice.
Did y'all hear me scream?
I was saying the same thing, but I was behind you. So we have to remember, and this isn't just for Lynn, that the evaluation, even though you're speaking to the speaker, is not just for the speaker. Everyone that's there gets the benefit from hearing your evaluation. So make sure, even though you're talking to that person, 'cause I love people address the specific speaker, make sure that everyone can hear you. But I was behind you, so I'll give you a pass. You might have been talking louder for them. But any other feedback for Lynn?
Thank you.
Okay.
Woo, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, Mike?
Lynn,
Yes.
as a speaker in general for you, you have a fantastic way of using your body language and your gestures to make your point, and you will come together and have your movements very, very punctuate with your context. However, if that is used too frequently, you can lose the value of the gesture itself. And so if everything has a movement to it, you lose what I'm actually trying to punctuate. And that was just something I've noticed from the few times I've seen you speak at our club or the different interactions we've had together. You use your body language very well, but I think there's a tendency that you might lose some of your audience when you overuse.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Charles. Yes.
Just one point. I agree with what everyone has said so far. But what I would suggest that you do when you're talking to that speaker, at one point you mentioned about grammar. What specifically are you speaking of? We know we heard him say I, and we heard him say right and about, and he was very vague with his language. I think it would be advantageous to the speaker to know exactly how he could improve with his language. And again, we don't know his audience. His audience could have been high school students or in the hood. And I know that's what I like to hear. However, I still want the grammar to be correct. So I think it could have been advantageous for you as the evaluator to let him know exactly what you were talking about in terms of, all right, my grammar's not right, but where? What specifically do I need to work on?
Thank you, Charles. Are there any others?
All right, well, thank you, Lynn. Okay, so, all right, actually, instead of watching another video, and I'm gonna, when I send you the stuff, I will send you some more videos if you want to practice, just let me know. There's plenty of videos online. If you want to challenge yourself, I was gonna do it, but then I was like, we definitely don't have time. Dan and Jaya's winning speech. If you look at Toastmasters International, those who've seen it, it's a guy with beautiful brown skin. Sorry, husband. But, sorry, with the rose in his hand. If you want to challenge yourself, because I see some of you have got the idea of how this works, try to evaluate that speech. It is a phenomenal speech to evaluate. And for those of us who heard the behind the scenes of it, the fact that he even got that together was amazing. So please check that out. But I want to look at these forms before you guys go. There's one that just has a little bit of writing on the top and nothing at the bottom. I think it says evaluation. Yeah, it says evaluation contestant notes.
Get the sign-up sheet.
Did the sign-up sheet go around? Because I want to make sure everybody gets this information. Yeah, you'll get the PowerPoint. You'll have my contact information. You can harass me for any other information you need. But if we look at this evaluation sheet, if you're participating in the evaluation contest, does anybody not know how the evaluation contest works? I know most of us are experienced. Okay, so for the benefit of everyone, if you are participating in the evaluation contest, all the participants sit in the same room. They hear the exact same 5 to 7 minute speech. It could be about anything. Then you get to write as the speaker's going, just like you would in a club. You take your little clipboard, but the only sheet you get to write on is the sheet you see in front of you. This is how much space you have, front and back. This is it. You don't get anything else. You don't get your phone to look up quotes and be fancy. This is all you get, is this one sheet of paper. once the speaker is done, they escort you out to another space. You get 5 additional minutes to fill out any more of this form. Maybe you thought of some quotes beforehand. Some people do it, they're really ready. That's fine. Get your ideas together. Then, after the 5 minutes is over, the sergeant at arms takes all the forms except the first speaker. So if you are number 4, you have to sit there for each evaluator gets 2 to 3 minutes plus a minute of silence. So if you're the 4th speaker, do that math. That's how long you are without that sheet. And then you go up as your number is called and give your presentation. I would advise you not to take the form on the stage. You can. I'm gonna say you can, but I advise you not to take the form on the stage. I do believe some judges look down on the fact that you are looking at your notes. But I don't believe, and if I'm wrong, somebody let me know, I don't believe there's anything that says that you can't take it. I've seen people do it, but I would advise you not to. But I want you to look at this form and realize this is it. So if you're somebody who evaluates people and you pull from other resources, this is all you have. You have your brain and this. And this is why we learn the glove method. Because if you know the glove method, what can you do as soon as you sit down with this piece of paper? Write it down. And then you can jot your notes, plus, minus. I literally, when I hear speakers, I just write plus, minus, I go eye contact, gestures, and I write it down. And then when you go up to speak, you don't have to worry about forgetting, like, did they use gestures? Did they not? Because you can write yourself some notes. You can make this form for yourself. And Lynn even pointed it out. If you look at the sheets, the judge, you don't have to turn, but if you look at the judges' ballots for the evaluation and the international, a lot of the things are exactly the same. So I did not make the glove method. It was on the internet. I just really liked it and used it for my own purposes. They're the same. So if you learn what the judges are looking for, and I think for the international there's a few extra things, then you can give really effective evaluations. You need to remember that it's not about you. We learned that it's not about you. I love the speech. I got this out of speech. It was so awesome. I just got moved. It's about the speech itself and that speaker. You are there for the sole purpose of being of service to that speaker. How can that speaker get better? So remember to put, like when Andrew said, put yourself and your emotions aside. Yes, I was moved. Yes, I was brought to tears. That's lovely. But was their grammar a hot mess? It could have been. Because I can still be moved and you had some ain'ts and kindas and wanters and shouldas and girl pleases in your speeches. But also, because I said girl please, if it's a part of dialogue, leave that alone. But just remember, again, we're being of service. So when you go to your clubs and you're teaching them about evaluations, make sure you focus on I statements. Make sure you focus it's not about you, it's about them. Make sure you remind them to give specific, tangible things that the speaker can take and do. Because if you tell me I speak fast, I already know. A lot of speakers already know. If you say you swayed a lot in that speech, most of them know. Like, I was here, I saw it too. I know I was swaying with you. If you say, oh, you were shaking your hands, they felt it. They knew before you knew that they were shaking because they were nervous. So remind them of how they can improve. And if you don't know, this is the time now. You have the resources in front of you. Go home and look at it and think about all the speeches you've seen and write down some suggestions. Call a Charles Gates, call a Lynn, call an Adrian, and say, hey, if somebody did this, what would you, recommend for them to do? How could they fix it? Or look it up. Toastmasters International is a wealth of knowledge. There's no reason for it. Like I said, I didn't make this stuff up. It's right there for you. Go there, spend some time. Pathways Level 1 and 2 has the evaluation stuff, has the, gestures in it. They have videos. We are not out here alone in a sea of just trying to be great speakers. There's a lot of information. We have area directors in the room. If you don't have your area director's number or email address, get it. Because they are here to be of service to you and help you on this journey. Charles is in the back. Harass him because he's a phenomenal evaluator. William Tyree, another phenomenal evaluator that you can ask questions. How do you do what you do? Can you help me? I'm here, I'm not the greatest, but I can point you in the right direction or give you some advice. So I hope that you all got a little bit, because we're not gonna all be great in one night. But hopefully you got some tools that you can take home and practice and hopefully share with your clubs, because we have a variety of Division D and maybe E. I'm not sure what one of your clubs is. Oh, I forgot. He's like, I'm still here. Yes, we have a lot of different people in the house. So please do go out and share this. Don't just, I know you want to be the only good evaluator in your club. Don't just take this for yourself. Don't just take this for yourself. Share it And if you really did enjoy the session and you want other sessions, because I don't have to be the only speaker, I know I talk fast, we have slower speakers. They let Nadria know, because she's out here trying to get you guys what you want. And if you want an education session, let her know, because she's gonna make it happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions or if you want more snacks, stay back. We're gonna leave here in about 10-15 minutes. So mingle, get people's numbers, and thank you all.
Thank you.